Welcome to Professionals and Coffee, a volunteer collective for brewing networking opportunities. I'm Carolina Salinas, founder and host of this initiative. In this episode, we will discuss job hunting as a newcomer, public relations, and corporate and marketing communications in Canada, with Prachi Shailendra, a newcomer leader. And as a co-host, we have Riddle Malkan, an international student graduate of the PR Postgraduate Certificate from Seneca College. Welcome both of you to Professionals and Coffee.
Hi, Carolina. Thank you for making me a part of your initiative. It's truly wonderful what you're doing to help newcomers and freshers enter the communications space of profession. And it's a pleasure to be here and meet Rhythm on this platform too. It's a refreshing rainy day, so I've got my cup of hot coffee here and I'm excited for a coffee chat.
Welcome, Prachi, and thank you so much, Carolina. It is my pleasure as well. I love being a host for this coffee chat, especially with you, Prachi, because you are so insightful, and I'm sure we are going to have a great time with this coffee chat. So let's get into it. I would like to start off by hearing from you a bit about yourself, your background, your education, your inspirations and aspirations, and your career here and in India.
Thank you, Rhythm. I started my career as a journalist in India. I was working for a news channel, English news channel, but I took up photography as a side gig because it was my passion. And through that passion, I got in touch with a few nonprofit organizations. And I realized the kind of work that NPOs do, and that really drew me to them. So when there was an opening once in an organization to become their communications coordinator and get into the field of corporate communications, I grabbed that opportunity and I've stuck to that field of work ever since. So I've done everything that communications can teach you to do, be it public relations, social media, website, events, anything and everything to do with words and colors. Since then, I have been evolving as a business communicator in my career. And I've worked through multiple organizations across India, Asia, and North America. And it's still my passion. I still enjoy my work. And I hope to grow even more in this field of work.
Now, my second question that I have for you, Prachi, is what would you say were the challenges you faced while trying to launch your career when you first came to Canada?
That's a wonderful question. And I think it's something that every immigrant certainly faces as a newcomer. And even when I moved to Canada, I moved in about, towards the end of October in 2019. And two things that I heard across all my networking chats, my coffee chats, were lack of Canadian experience and getting through the ATS system. So these two were my biggest challenges because I came with a lot of experience in corporate communications across not-for-profit, across corporate social responsibility. And I had managerial experience as well. I've been a team leader in the past. I've led a team of more than 5 people at a time at a very young age. So I was extremely confident initially that I'm going to get a good job. I'm going to get a nice organization. But everywhere I went, every job that I applied to, the responses I was getting was lack of Canadian experience. And sometimes I wouldn't even get any response. So thankfully, the government of Canada provides you with this wonderful opportunity through multiple agencies, which gives you free employment services. There are a lot of them. There's Access Employment, Triac, Wood Green. And I reached out to a few of them, and they told me about the ATS system, which is applicant tracking system, which essentially sort of eliminates unfit profiles. And by unfit, I mean resumes which are not about 75 to 80% perhaps match with the job descriptions that have been put out. So this was new piece of information for me because according to what I was learning, a lot of organizations adapted that. So I met with a few professionals and at these agencies, and they helped me learn about how to use my international skills and show it that I can contribute to the Canadian work ecosystem as well. So they helped me with Canadian standard resume, Canadian cover letter. They taught me about customizing resume for each job application, highlighting my transferable skills, how to reach out to hiring managers on LinkedIn for jobs that I've applied to. And they also taught me about how important networking is to get that job that I want. So yes, these two things were the biggest challenges, but with networking and with employment services, which are available with mentors that I got in touch with, they taught me how to bypass that.
Glad, Prachi, that you could find a great support network with all these employment services, which are really, really helpful, particularly to connect newcomers with the Canadian employment culture, because sometimes we don't know how to go or which who what kind of people we should connect in order to to find a job, right? So glad for you and good for you, Prachi.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the ATS system, because not a lot of people really knows what it is or even considers it during the resume. Even as a newcomer, when I came, I didn't know what it was. Also, when I am a newcomer, as you know, and trying to set foot in the PR industry, and would love to know more from your experience. How should one approach the job hunting process, and when they are, when they are just starting out?
That's a great question. So I can bring that answer down to 2 points: networking and mentorship. So networking, as I said, that was something I learned when I came here as well, through a lot of other people that I met at the employment agencies. And they taught me about a few ways to network really, really well. One was, of course, through LinkedIn. It's what we also call cold calling or sending out cold emails. So what I did was found people in my field of work who were at mid-senior to senior level, some of them were very senior executives as well, like vice presidents and CEOs, but who've built their career in communications or through communications. And the way to reach out to them was not to say that, hey, I'm new, give me a job. But it was more to do with learning from their experiences and trying to understand more about the communications landscape in Canada, or in Toronto specifically, because I was here in Toronto. So just to reach out to them and tell them that, hey, you know what, I see you have like wealth of experience in this field of work, and I'm interested, I'm new, or I'm a fresher, and I would love to learn about your experience, how you built your career, what were your challenges, and how you found success. And if you can just, share some tips and tricks with me on how to break into this industry and how to become a successful communicator, it would be really, really nice. The trouble was, or the challenge was, that I sent out about 20 messages a day, and I probably received one response or two responses after 2-3 days. So not everybody responds, but having said that, there are quite a few senior professionals out there who are willing to mentor others, who are willing to share about their experiences. And that brings me to the second point, mentorship. Some of them actually offered to take my resume. They asked me to send my resume to them. And they told me about these little changes I could make. They told me about, hey, I've got some more connections. Let me connect you with them. They might be looking for someone, or you can at least do a bit of volunteer work, so you'll get firsthand experience. So those kind of little experiences by volunteering for somebody, or by just helping them out on a project basis, that started giving me an insight and understanding into how this field works, and if it is any different from my previous experience experiences. And of course, there are few differences in the way every organization works and every element of communication works. So networking and mentorship, definitely. And if I can add a little bit more to networking, other than LinkedIn, there are a lot of other ways. One of them is definitely the employment agencies that I mentioned. So they have these matching programs wherein they have a few mentors on board who are willing to talk to newcomers and freshers and teach them about how to break into the industry and how to get a good job, how to sit for interviews, how to customize your resume, which skills to highlight, and a lot of other things related to that. Another way is also going for networking events. So there are a lot of apps out there. My favorite one was, it still is, Eventbrite. It has a lot of these seminars and workshops which happen across the city, or even networking mixers wherein you can just go. Some of them are free, some of them are paid, but you can go there, just, talk to people, strike a conversation. And I think striking that personal chord really, really helps, keep you in mind. And anytime something comes up, people do reach out to you and be like, hey, remember we met there? I have an opening over here for maybe one assignment, or a new position has opened up. So would you like to consider applying for it? So these things, they take time. They take a lot of patience, but they do help in the long run. And that helped me get my first job in my own field of work in Canada too.
Thank you, Prachi. My next question to you would be, when I was trying to land my first internship, I gave as many as 30 interviews in like 2 months, and I wasn't getting selected until I realized that I hardly knew anything about the interview process or the daily workings of a PR professional. And I was answering the interview questions on the basis of my assumption of what I will be doing in the role. So to make sure no one else has to do so much guesswork while they are interviewing, I would like to ask you, what would a typical day look like for an entry-level PR professional, especially in a corporate communications setting?
Okay. So there is no, how do I say, hard and fast rule. There are few basics, which is followed by every organization, which is followed by every team, but every department and every manager has their own way of working. First thing to keep in mind is that the curriculums that we have in school and colleges, they are basics of any subject. So whenever you and I, we go out of school and we have our first job, we are unlearning everything that we've learned. Because then we're learning the new ways of working. We're learning how an organization works. We have to learn what the product is, what the service is, which is being provided by that organization, that company. And then we learn how best to promote it, how best to market it, and how best to reach out to media and give that information out and build the reputation of that product or service and that organization. So to avoid that kind of, going in blind sort of a problem, and then just wondering like, oh, what am I doing over here? How do I answer these questions? I think a bit of proactiveness always goes a long way. And I think at the cost of repeating myself again, networking is the way to go when you're still in school. So when you're still in school and you reach out to a professional and be like, hey, you know what, I'm studying this, but I want to get a head start and I want to learn exactly what happens in on ground and in the work atmosphere. Can you tell me a little bit about it? There will be people out there who would be more than happy to give you a real-time information of what's happening in your field of work in public relations. Coming to what a typical day would look like for an entry-level PR professional. So you'll be doing everything. As a new person, as a fresher, I think it's very important to understand every element that goes into public relations, that goes into that whole umbrella of work. So you'll be put into all the departments. You'll be put into building connections. So making calls to media houses, making calls to publications, making calls to other organizations, if you're working with them, and building a combined PR strategy, understanding what a strategy looks like, what are the things that go into it, understanding if you have budget for paid public relations, or if it's just going to be organic, understanding the difference between the two, writing press releases, creating press kits. When do you need to send out press releases? How many press releases need to go out? So all of those discussions, if it's going to be just a write-up, or is it going to be sent out in a creative way? Are you doing the creation, or do you have agencies on board who'll be doing half your work for you? So then handling those agencies, understanding budgeting of public relations, where those budgets are applied, how to save those dollars or how to spend those dollars. So you'll be put into all the departments. You'll be doing a little bit of everything. And then after a year or two of, when you've got a taste of everything that goes on, that's when even you'll understand what your strengths are, and you'll have a conversation with your manager, and your manager will notice where you're excelling and where you need to improve. And that's how you find your niche and you find your specialty. But yes, as a newcomer, just be prepared to do anything and everything. Nothing is off limits then.
Yeah, I see what you are saying. If you are lucky enough, you'll get to do everything. Otherwise, it's you're gonna get stuck, getting coffee or something. My next question is, your LinkedIn profile suggests you are a digital media junkie. So am I. Understanding that the use of digital platforms to communicate a story has become more prominent during the pandemic years, should traditional or broadcast media be given equal importance as digital media while launching a campaign?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. There are a couple of things to note here, I would say. Point number one, the pandemic showed us humans that once we are confined to our four walls, nature thrives, because we have created so much damage through generations that during the pandemic, when everybody just went inside, we saw environmentally things improved to a large scale. And that has made us all a lot more environmentally conscious and sound to move from physical resources to electronic and digital ones. And that brings me to point number two, that this consciousness has led to enhancing and developing more digital avenues for all of us. For example, in terms of professional usage, Instagram was originally limited to bloggers and artists, and then a bit of networking, very casual networking. Or Facebook was more of reconnecting with friends, or it was even a dating platform. A lot of people met there. But over the past 3 years, if you notice, Facebook and Instagram, they have these lives that are happening now by small businesses, big businesses, webinars are happening, and they are blowing up. Even promotions, charity donation drives, so much more is happening on these two platforms now. In fact, Facebook, I feel, is now seeing a lot more professional groups, which are popping up for professional meetups, for networking events, for lives of Facebook lives to talk about different issues and different communities coming together. Zoom and Teams have now become go-to platforms for meetings at most organizations. AI is in everyone's pockets now. So the demographic of digital platforms has expanded multifold over the past 2-3 years. However, I have to add that it does not negate the importance of broadcast media or even traditional media, because morning newspapers are still a thing in many households, and that goes perfectly well with morning coffee and morning news. So if you're launching any marketing campaign now, I think shifting focus is not what we aim for, but the weightage of focus on each medium, that has certainly changed. But I think each platform, they still hold their own for sure.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Prachi, that with this pandemic, the configuration of how we convey our ideas or advertise products or services have changed completely. My next question that I have for you is, could you tell us about a few marketing campaigns you have worked on during your career?
Oh, yes, there were a few. There are a few which are very close to my heart, but I would like to talk about this one amazing campaign that I was fortunate enough to become a part of at Mahindra Education Trust. The project is called Project Nanhi Kali. It's in India. And the campaign was called Ladki Haath Se Nikal Jayegi. That's a Hindi phrase. And if you translate that, it means girl will get out of hands. That's the literal translation. So getting out of hands is the phrase that we focused on. It's a short video about little girls in extreme rural areas of India, where if they want to study and grow up to have a career in life, the society is going to be, oh, she's getting out of hand. She must be contained within limits. She needs to be in control, set by the society. And in that video, there is this cute little adorable girl who talks about wanting to grow up and become a pilot. And her father says that, you know what, you must get out of everyone's hands and you must fly high. So the aim was to change the narrative of that phrase, getting out of hands. And I became a part of this campaign slightly later at the promotional and launch stage. And it was one of the best ones I've seen. The response we received on every channel was just wow. And it eventually went on to win some amazing awards too. And I'm really proud to have been a part of it and change that narrative to a great extent.
I think, Prachi, that as a communicators, we have certain responsibilities to our audience, employer, and profession, because communication can move communities, influence cultures, and change history. And I like how with this marketing campaign, you crafted your message directly related to how your message would affect others.
Prachi, I'd love to inform you that we studied these campaigns during my bachelor's and it was amazing. I loved studying it. So moving on, Bill Gates once said, if I only had $2 left, I would spend $1 on PR. How significant is PR in corporate environment?
Very, absolutely. 200% agreed. I mean, public relations is what can really build or break your reputation. PR is what ensures that your organization's bread and butter not only remains constant, but thrives and flourishes, especially in a corporate structure. A strong PR team in place is truly your half job done. So it's definitely worth spending half your company's budget on public relations, because they are going to be the ones who will maintain the reputation of your organization, be able to get more clients on board through your reputation, through your promotions. So yes, if you have $2 left, one must be spent on PR. Unfortunately, that's not true. That's not the ground reality most of the time. And then, we are struggling with like little budgets and trying to do things organically instead of paid. But so far as that sentence goes, in the true sense, that's how it should be. Yeah.
Anything else that you would like to add to this coffee chat, Prachi?
I think we've covered a few things already, a lot of things rather. But yeah, I think I'll just stick to two words that I take very, very seriously for myself. And whenever I'm talking to myself, I remind myself of these two words, faith and patience, because patience through the process of, securing that job that you have your eye on, and faith in your own skills and capabilities. These two things are very, very important, because it can really take some time to, get that right job. I mean, it did for me for sure. And through the downs of the struggles, it's very easy to lose faith in your own self and feel very demotivated. So taking one day at a time, I think that's the key. And then sooner than later, it all works out. If you're putting your efforts in the right direction, it always works out. So yeah, faith and patience, very, very important to keep in mind and practice.
I totally agree with you, Prachi. The things that at work, it comes with time and effort. And in this case, the job you want is the best example. Sometimes you could get it quickly thanks to a connection or networking, or on the other hand, it may not be on your timer. The universe is telling you to wait until you have what you really want.
Absolutely agreed.
Thank you so much, Prachi, for letting us a little bit of your time and teaching us more about job hunting, public relations, and corporate communications and marketing communications in Canada. And last but not least, thank you, Rhythm, for co-hosting this coffee chat with professionals and coffee. Finally, do you, Prachi and Rhythm, have any social media networks you want to share with our audience? Where can we find you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram with my full name, Prachi Shailendra. You will find my face everywhere to confirm it's me. And I'm open to anyone wanting to talking further about everything that we discussed today.
I'm available on LinkedIn and Instagram as Rhythm Malkan. Look me up.
Thank you, everyone. Everything we do here works because of you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and podcast. Join our social media networks. Clicking the link in the description below this video or podcast. And please join us to do your own virtual coffee chat as Freedom did today. And I hope you enjoyed our discussions and learned a lot about job hunting as a newcomer, public relations, and corporate marketing communications in Canada. Thank you and bye-bye.